you guys, my name is Jocelinesse Jeune, and in today's video, I would like to do the YouTube introduction of the year. So for today's video, I'm gonna do the basis of YouTube for this year on my channel. So for this year, the main focus is rejuvenation. I want you guys to be rejuvenate, but first, before everything, as always with every session, I want you guys to basically sit back, relax, and just find something to drink, find something, kick your feet back, and just relax, right? I just want you guys to relax, right? And for this year, as always, I want you guys, especially for this year, I want the main focal point to be relaxation, rejuvenation, and I want to start adding self-care videos. So ones that have to do with pampering, beauty. We'll learn makeup tutorials. I'm not good with makeup, by the way, so I will do that, right? I will also learn new skills that I'm interested in, because as always, this is my YouTube channel, and even though I care about you guys' opinions, it's mainly what I'm interested in, and I'm transferred onto you guys, just like last year, right? And if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to let me know. But basically, this YouTube is my own personal interest, right? I will tell you my interests, and I have a lot, right? So you'll find something, everybody can find something that they really like, right? So the main point of YouTube for me, I don't really ask for subscribers. That's not what really I care about. Although what I do care about is that you enjoy the content, right? That's why I always ask you guys in most of my videos to just relax, you know, enjoy the session, right? I don't really care about subscribers. I don't care about all that stuff. I just want the main idea to come across to you, which is my viewpoints and stuff that I like, my favorite topics, my favorite interests. And if you guys have anything that you would like to give to me, let me know, because I like, as long as it's something I'm interested in, I will look it up, right? Because I always like to learn about new stuff, right? And I've had like 1,000,001 interests. So anything you guys have that I find interesting, I will definitely put it in one of my videos, because, you know, if it's interesting, then I would add it, right? But again, this is my YouTube channel, and it's not for the viewers. This is for my ideas to be expressed onto you, right? And as always, I always want for you guys to enjoy the channel, right? For it to be something you bookmark, right? I don't want it to be something like you feel like pressured to subscribe to. I just want you guys to feel free, if it's useful to you, to then subscribe. But if not, you can carry on, right? So then for today's video, I'm gonna do several topics, right? So this is gonna be an extended introductory video, and it's gonna be about me hosting this year's YouTube channel, right? So the first topic I will do will be a tribute, and then I will do the first one is a short tribute to my mom, which I nicknamed My, and then something called running anxiety, and then I will do a synopsis, an extended synopsis of the Nollywood film White Hunters, right? White Hunters. Okay, so for today's video, the first thing I'm going to start off is the tribute to my mom. Okay, I don't know if you guys know, but my mom passed away on December the 26th, right? She passed away, and she passed away in her sleep, and I got the shock of my life, right? It was very shocking, right? Because, you know, she was terminally ill, but you always had the hope that she was going to recover. But for this tribute, I want to go over, you know, who she was, and why she was so important in the whole family, to me also, you know. So my mom, she had us two. It was me, Christani. I was born in '88. My sister, she was born 2 years after, 90. She's a 90s baby, Nadia. And the three of us, we basically did everything together, right? We came here in 1994, and it was due to like a bunch of political problems going on in Haiti, because there was an embargo and trade stopped, and then the Clinton administration sent, like they were doing a whole bunch of stuff where they were trying to get a lot of people out of there because there was a whole bunch of human rights violations taking place, right? As you know, Haiti is always going through a lot of things. Right now, even it's going through a lot of kidnappings. You know, it's always going through something, right? So in 1994, that's what was going on, right? And it's especially was really bad because of if you remember in a previous video I told you about the dictator François Duvalier, who was Papa Doc, and his son Bébé Doc, and how him being exiled in '86 caused there to be even more upheaval, if you could say that. There was more upheaval going on, and it got to a point where there was something called boat people, right? And it was really bad, right? People just wanted to get the hell out, right? So my mom, she was always like somebody, she always wanted to get things done, right? So my dad had came previously in '91, and my mom, everything before '94, dad would send money, and then in '94, mom was like, you know, I just want to get out, and she made it a way that she did got us out, because mama was very proactive in that sense, right? Because she didn't want her children being raised in that country, because a lot of parents didn't want their children being raised in Haiti. Especially now, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. It's a lot of human rights violations, a lot of bad things going on, right? A lot of human rights violations, right? So my mom wanted to get us out as quickly as possible, right? So we came here when I was 6 and my sister was 4. And we came and we arrived in Park Slope, Brooklyn in the middle of, like in, I think it was December. It was December, and that was the first time I saw snow, right? It was so beautiful. That's the first time I saw like white snowflakes coming down the ground, you know? And it was really cold that day, right? And then we lived in Park Slope, Brooklyn. We lived in Park Slope, Brooklyn for like a few years in our church. And my dad was a co-pastor to the main pastor. And then we went to Flatbush. We moved to Flatbush, which we still live now. We've lived for a long time now, right? After that, right? So I came out here at 6 with my little sister and my mom in 1994. And basically, us three were like three peas. We're so close together, right? It's always us three, always us three. And even though dad was always in the picture, he's always there. Nobody cares about my dad, right? Nobody cares about him, right? Because he's always off to some corner, being stoic, being like brooding and pretending like he hates everyone, right? Or he looks like he hates everyone, right? He always has that serious look, right? So then it was always us three, right? We went to Haiti when I was 13, before I went into the high school, the summer before I went to high school. And then we went to Philadelphia one Christmas to see my mom's little sister. And we did everything together, the three of us, right? We were very, very close, right? Me, my mom, and my little sister, right? And we did a lot of things together. We had, I mean, even though we had sometimes opposing viewpoints, we three, I mean, we always got each other, right? And then when my grandmother, MMKK, came in 2007, it's like my grandmother and my mom, it was never like a dull moment with the two of them, right? They were just always funny, like they'll be cracking jokes. Sometimes, because they're so similar, it would be kind of scary sometimes, because MMKK, I mean, it was like there was the same strictness. They were the same type of funny. I mean, they were obnoxious, but they were funny, and they were neurotic, and it was just funny, you know? It was a good time for a while. But then MKK passed us 6 months before, and then my mom passed right after, right? So then what I want you guys to know about my mom is that she was a person, she was very proactive, right? Sometimes it would always get on my last nerves. I think, Mom, just relax, just sit down and relax, just sit and relax. My mom was somebody, like, if she saw like something need to be clean, she was always brooming, cleaning, cooking, baking. I mean, I think the reason that I was a homebody is because was because there was always food in the house, right? My mom liked to bake, she liked to fry foods, she liked to boil foods, and like she knew, like, I don't know how many recipes this woman knew. She knew so many recipes, right? She knows, I mean, she even knew cremas recipes. She knew how to bake goods, and it was like she just knew how to. And from what she told me she learned not from grandma, but she learned by watching other people, because grandma was always busy working as a market seller, right? Okay, so then another thing I want you to know about my mom is that she just always supported her family. and she was just such a giving person, you know. And she was a person that always valued education above all things. And you know, like sometimes it would be overbearing. Like I remember there was one time she was like, no child of mine, no child of mine is going to work while I'm still alive, right? Because she was like, we don't have a problem with money. But you know, when you're like 17 and stuff, you basically want to be free, you want to have independence. So but she was against working while in school. I mean, well into my mid-20s, she wouldn't hear it, right? I mean, that's the type of mom she was, right? But my mom, the funny thing is that she was really neurotic, which means she'd do things, and I see that many moms is like this, right? For instance, she's more protective of me than my sister. Like my sister could go to like New Zealand, right? She'd just be like, oh, come back 3 years later, right? But she always babied my sister a lot, right? But the thing is, but me, I was always put like under tight restriction, right? If I go to an appointment and I come back 10 minutes late, it's like she was ready to call the cops, right? At first I always thought that was kind of strange and odd, but then what I'm learning is that a lot of parents do this, right? The first 2 children, they put a tight fist on them, and the last children, it's like they could basically run rampant, run into a ditch or something. I don't even get that, right? Because I'm older than all of them, so I would think it would be the opposite. But I think this is a common thing. So then another thing is, you know, she was always innovative. Like how she wanted us to get, like at 22, I had to say, that was the first time I got a cell phone, is because my mom was like, you know, that's not safe, you know, you don't have a phone, what if something happened, you need a phone. So she made us all get a phone, right? Like cell phone. Before then, pay phones were all in use at that time. So we're like, oh, we'll use a payphone. But she's like, no, what if you're in a ditch, what if you're in, like, she just always thought ahead of the times, right? And something like I didn't like about her is that she always says she could never sit down, right? She was either cleaning, cooking, and like, because I was the one that was a homebody, because I love being home, because there was always something to eat, there was always something to do. We always had 24/7, like a lot of cable. We could watch as many. You just had everything in your home, right? We didn't have want for anything, right? We don't have a need. We didn't have a need for anything, right? We didn't have a need for anything, right? I mean, I think that's why I always love being a homebody, right? I had all the technology. I had like everything I wanted was always in my home, right? You know how some people, they're looking for fun outside the home? Like my house was always like a baking factory. It was like my mom was like, she had this mentality, right? She always kept like forcing us to cook and stuff like that, but her mentality was also if you eat one thing for breakfast, you can't eat the same thing in lunch, and you can't do the same thing for dinner, and the thing that you did for dinner, it cannot be the same as the 6 nights before, right? So which means when I say this woman knew how to cook, she knew how to cook, right? And the funny thing is, she's not even the best cook in the family, right? Which means they were taught how to cook, right? And she knew how to cook, right? If she cooked you like a Christmas thing, you would eat your own fingers, right? Because it was that good. But then it's just like every single day. My mom was like the ultimate homemaker, right? Like, and she worked full time most of the time when she was working. Like the 18 years she was working, she worked full time. And she would have all the food thing, and she was obsessed with cooking, right? Sometimes I'd be like, Mom, we got this. Just sit down. Sit down. Mom, just sit down, right? Sometimes I'd get really angry. Like, sometimes she'd come over, I'd be in my room. She'd come and she'd start brooming my foot. I'd be, Mom, this is really disrespectful. How could you do something like this, right? But she'd do stuff like that all the time, right? But you know, her and my grandmother and us, it was sometimes we would laugh too much, right? Especially in the good times, you know. So then let me do an anecdote. Another thing, the last anecdote. So she loved to cook. Like I remember, like I was always be stuck cooking, cleaning, and going to the market with Mom. And it would be done so much. Like, you know how you watch those skits, and the mom is like, oh, let's go to the market, right? and it's morning, right? So my mom was like those type of moms, right? We'd go to the market in the morning, and by nightfall we'd be coming back, right? Because we'd carry the whole market into our home, right? And when I tell you market, and this was like week after week after week after week for years, right? And I was always the one stuck with doing the market because my sister, she loved to travel. She loved being out more, right? So my mom couldn't find her to stick her with the market, so I was left carrying the burden and the comfort of the market, right? It was really horrible sometimes, right? Sometimes I just didn't want to do it, but I was like, if you don't do it, you know like she's not gonna go, so you need to do it, right? And it'd be like every week, loads and like sometimes the people in the market, they know us on a first name basis, right? It was like they knew my mom on a first name basis because she was always by the whole store, right? Like, and it'll be like multiple stores, like 2 carriages sometimes. Like, she just loved to make food, cook food, variety of food. That, like, she was a true homemaker, right? And she loved to cook and clean, right? So she was very domestic in that sense, right? And lastly, I remember one time I had this friend from training school. Let's call him Tommy because I want to protect his identity. I don't know if he likes being on, like, to protect his name, you know. I don't know if to protect his privacy. So then one time I came from training, and my grandmother was like, this guy was like, oh, can I come and visit you? So I was like, sure thing, right? Sure thing. So I came. I told him come, and he could come anytime, right? So he's like, what time should I come? I said, come at noon or something, right? At noon, my dad was there, my grandma was there, my mom was there. So I told him come, right? And I invited him in front of my dad, my mom, and my grandma, right? So the thing was that the guy, he was so relaxed that they all took a very good liking to him, right? And he was a just come, right? Because he had just came from Haiti, right? So then they talked to him. They're like, oh, let's call him Tommy. Oh, how's everything going? And he's like, and like they just liked him because he had this easygoing manner about him, right? And he just came, and he came from Hinch, which is a district or like a part of Haiti, right? They were a town in Haiti, Hinch, right? And then like they really, really liked him, right? At one point, I remember the 4th week, my mom was like, you know what? I really like this guy, you know. What do you think about it? Because they kept trying to push the guy on me, right? But I was not really into the guy, right? So then they were like, my mom was like, you know what? I think I should bake Tommy a cake, right? And I'm like, mom, please just stop. She's like, I'm gonna invite him over. I'm gonna bake him a cake, and I'm gonna bake him some dinner. And I'm like, mom, why would you do that? I don't even know him like that, right? But my grandmother took a huge liking to him. My dad heard of him in passing through my mom and grandma, and he even liked him from what he heard, right? So then I remember my sister, who's now married, she always had like she was never comfortable, you know. Like she was always like uncomfortable bringing her then boyfriend into the house, right? So then this time it was like 9 years. Like it was a long time into their relationship because they'd been together for a long time, right? Like they were like high school sweethearts. They were like together like when she was 18, I think, because she was still in high school. They'd been together for a long time, right? So then my sister was like, when she heard about what my mom wanted to do with Tommy, she's like, man, that's not fair. Because the thing is, my sister was always uncomfortable bringing her boyfriend to the house, right? But it was because she was uncomfortable, right? But the funny thing is that when I brought Tommy into the house, it's like everybody took a liking to him, right? And I felt so bad for my sister, right? Because she always struggled right? But when I brought him in front of everybody just automatically loved him, right? And so the thing she wanted to do was to bake him a cake and like do a formal welcoming home, right? And that's memories like that I remember of my mom, right? She was like such a hospitality type of person, right? That was her character. She just loved to like invite people. She was very inviting and a very warm person in that sense, right? She always loved to take care of the home. And forget about Christmas, right? Christmas, she would buy new curtains. Dinner would be like, it would be like so many courses on the and this was every year, right? Christmas, Thanksgiving, and every major holiday. And what else? She'd buy new curtains, new carpets. It was like the house, and she always loved music, right? Like she'd always force us to listen to these old French songs, right? And then there was a point where like, Mom, just stop with this stupid French. Like we don't want to hear these songs, right? That was when we were like maybe like 5th grade. And then because you know how American culture, the when millennials were in their youth, it was like there were so many things to watch, right? So nobody wanted to watch stuff from Haiti. Nobody wanted to watch that, right? When you had Buffy, you had Family Matters, you had all these good shows on TV. Nowadays, I mean, I don't see, for me, I don't really I don't really care much about TV now, except for a few shows. But back then it was full of good shows, you know. And then she would be like, "No, put this tape on, put Jessica on, put Langrisha on," and we'd be like, "Mom, just stop." And you know how the shows back then, they would premiere, you know, and things were not readily available on streaming and internet. So if you missed the premiere, you'd have to wait the whole week to get it playing again, or to get like it running, like doing a marathon for you to see the episode again, right? So it was she was that type of person, right? She loved music, she loved entertainment, and you know, she also said how she always said, "Oh, you have to look like a queen, right? You have to be a queen." And there was a point she was saying that. I'm like, "This Mom, just stop, you know, just stop." Because she would always be like, "When I was a young woman, you know, when I was a young woman, men would practically fall into the holes. Garçon toujours tombé dans tout parce que because of how they boarded." And then you know how somebody's always like fanning themselves, they wanted at you, and our eyes would want to roll out of our heads, right? Because we just like, just please stop, you know. But then from our cousins, like they would always say, "Oh, Mama Shelby," like your mom was very like, she had something about her. She had charisma, she had pizzazz. Like even though she talks about it like the way she's saying it, you could even see then that what she was saying, there was a lot to it, right? And then finally I remember my dad said that one of the reasons that he got with my mom was because of how striking she was, right? How confident she was and how poised she was, right? Because my dad said that when he first laid eyes on my mom, he said to himself, "That's the one for me," right? Because it had to do with the way she looked, like because the way my mom was, she said she was always like very feminine, very fashionable. Like she always thought that she was avant-garde, right? And I think it's because of my grandmother, how she would always take care of her children, right? Yeah, so then that's my mom, right? And you know, that's my tribute to my mom. And you know, when she passed away this December 26th, it was hard for me, you know, because even though she was terminally ill, I did not, you know, even if the person was 100 years old, right? Even if my mom was 100 years old, I would still have a hard time with it, right? It's just like that, you know. And I've seen people before, their moms is like 102, 100 something, and it's still hard for them, right? Even if they've lived a full life, you know. So I think even though I knew everything, it would have ended eventually, it was still hard for me, you know, naturally. It was still hard, right? So then that's my tribute to my mom. And so for the next thing I would like to go to running anxiety, right? Running anxiety. So running anxiety is a concept I learned from Louise Hay, right? I love people like Louise Hay, Bob Proctor, like Abraham Hicks, things that have to do with the law of attraction and how you think brings about your reality, right? because to me, I feel that's very sound judgment, right? If you keep focusing on one thing, that's what you're gonna bring about. So then Louise Hay said something about running anxiety, right? Now, running anxiety is something I have experienced before, but I just didn't know it was called running anxiety, right? So running anxiety, as she explained, is something where you, let's say you're about to get into a relationship, right? Or you're in a relationship, you just started one, and everything seems like it's going well. Everything seems like it's going good. And then something in your back of your mind is saying, man, something is off. Do you ever get that feeling like you everything seems too good to be true, right? So she said that's what is called running anxiety, right? Okay, so running anxiety is like when you just have this feeling, this nagging feeling when things are too good to be true, right? You just got a promotion, you just met this great guy, and then you're just questioning it, right? Like things is bound to fall apart, right? Because you just can't trust it, right? But the thing I liked about when she addressed running anxiety is she didn't try to demonize it and say give you logic. She put it in a way where it showed you, look, this is a normal processing of the human brain, right? The human mind, right? How your mind works is it's always trying to protect you, right? So your mind, when it does give you these worst case scenarios, these Murphy's law scenarios, what it's actually doing, what it thinks it's doing is it thinks that it's protecting you, right? Your brain usually does this stuff like you going out in the night and it's giving you all these scenarios of how things could go bad, right? So when your brain is doing this stuff, it's because it just wants to protect you, right? It wants you to be aware ahead of time, right? So running anxiety is basically your brain's way of protecting you, right? Even when you always thinking negatively, or you're worrying, or you have anxiety about the future, or you're worrying about the past, it's all the brain trying to cope and trying to protect you in a way, right? So what she said is when you have running anxiety, what you want to do is just calm your brain down, right? Calm your mind down, right? Because your mind, it thinks it's trying to protect you. It's like a little kid, right? And it wants you to be safe. So the way she said it is when your mind is doing something like that, you calmly tell your mind, which is like a kid, hey, we got this, everything is gonna be all right. And you do this with most things, right? Everything's gonna be all right, I have the tools. Like, especially, like, let's use the relationship for example. If you're just started a relationship and then something's telling you this nagging thing like things gonna fall apart, this is too good to be true, what you would tell to your mind, because your mind is actually just trying to protect you, what you would actually do is you would calm your mind, right? You'd be like, hey, calm down, right? Calm down. It is a new relationship. You just calm your fears down, right? Because what it has to do is it's your mind's way of basically protecting you, right? And calm your mind and tell your mind everything's gonna be okay, right? And you have every right to be worried, and you soothe your mind. It's like self-soothing, and you tell your mind, I have the tools to observe and keep receiving the goodness of this relationship. And as the relationship keeps going good, if there's any red flags I see, I will have the faculty and all the discernment to know when this stuff arises, how to best use my discernment, and I have good discernment, right? So you basically calm your mind and let your mind know everything's gonna be okay, right? And in the event that things are not going to be okay, that you will be able to reconcile the situation, or you'll be able to work through the situation. You have the tools in order to handle yourself in the situation, right? Because your mind, at the end of the day, it's like a little kid. It's just trying to protect you, It's just looking after you. And that's why it's doing all that anxiousness and worrying, right? So then that's running anxiety. So then finally, I'm gonna do a final part of this segment is the Nollywood film White Hunters, right? So White Hunters is also known by another name, Cheeky Girls, right? Nollywood films have sometimes more than one title, right? It could get a little confusing, like especially when you're looking through YouTube and you see multiple titles and then you see it's the same film. So sometimes one film could have several, like 1 or 2 different titles it goes by officially. So then Cheeky Girls or White Hunters stars Ini Iniobong Edo Ekim as Tabitha, and her best friend Pamela, which is played by Mercy Johnson. And one of the characters in the film is Peggy, which is played by Funke Akindele. And then there's another character, and this character I believe is Halima Abubakar. So Halima Abubakar plays the role of Elsie. So anything I get wrong, I will make sure to write it down in the description, right? So then White Hunters is a very fun movie, right? It's a very fun movie, right? It's a very fun movie, and I really like it, right? I really like it. It's a fun movie, and the thing I like about it is that the first 3 hours, because it's 4 hours long, right? It's part of that golden era of Nollywood I like to talk about. It's 4 hours long, and it stars Tabitha, Ini Edo's character, and Mercy Johnson as Ini's best friend, right? So in the film, it's like Pamela is always having bad luck with men, and Tabitha, Ini Edo, it's like she's a revolving door where she's always successful with men, right? And eventually their friendship ends to rivalry, right? Because Pamela's always like, man, why does she get all these men, right? She just gets a revolving door of men, right? So in this movie, it's just a fun movie, right? I believe it's a satire type of film, because this film, it has like, it's very funny, right? It's very funny. It's the basis of the film is that Pamela wants the 3 main ladies: Peggy, played by Funke Akindele, Tabitha, played by Ini Edo, and Pamela, played by Mercy Johnson. Their main aim in the movie is to secure rich white men, right? So the film does not take anything seriously, right? It has a lot of stereotypes in it, right? So if you are easily offended by stereotypes, this is really not a film for you, right? If you just hear a stereotype and then you start cringing, this is not the film for you, right? You should just pass on, because it's not the one for you, right? What I love about the film is that it's funny. It has a lot of stereotypes, right? Like, but it makes it in a way it's funny, does not take itself too seriously, right? And aside from that, I love the wardrobe changes, right? Something about it has a 1940s Archie comics vibe to it, right? I know something about it is giving me Betty Boop based Betty and Veronica Archie. I'm getting that vibe, right? It's a very new, it looks like a new movie from the golden era, but something about it looks like 1940s pinup, right? And it has many to do with the wardrobes. This is a 4-hour movie, and one thing I have to say is that the movie itself, the first 3 hours is actually very good. The first 3 hours leading up towards the abrupt end was actually very good, right? So the first 3 hours I give it like a A minus, B plus, A minus, but the final end I would actually give it like an F, right? Like an F minus, right? Because the end, I don't know if the producer just got really tired or something happened and he lost steam, or he just didn't have like that much creativity left, or he just didn't know what to do with the storyline. It just ends with a series of witchcraft, and then it just ended in a way, it was very abrupt, and it was very different from how it started, right? The start was very fun, very funny, and then it just ended very serious with witchcraft and a whole bunch of spooky things going on, right? And as you know, you guys, I don't like things with witchcraft, right? I don't like things that have to do with spookiness, right? And the thing I did not appreciate about this film is I loved the first 3 hours, and then it just ended abruptly with witchcraft, and I was like, man, because you know how the ending of a movie basically makes the whole movie, right? So for that, if I was not generous, I would have given the whole movie an F, right? But to look at it, the first 3 hours were very good. It was very funny. Like I liked it. It was very cute. It was like a minus based on the first 3 hours, right? But based on the end, which was just abrupt and it was just spooky, and I was like, man, what the hell? Like, first of all, what the hell am I looking at, right? Like, how do I watch a film for 3 hours and then it just ends like in witchcraft and stuff I know I don't want to see in a film, right? And the first 3 hours don't look like it's leading up to that, you know? So that really bothered me, that it's like the producer, he ran out of ideas or something, and so he just wanted a quick end. So that part I didn't not like about White Hunters. But what I liked about it was the funny music. So in between the film, there's a song about if you're white, we want your money. If you're black, we don't want your, like, the money because you don't have any money. And it's just really funny, right? Like, it's something, it's kind of offensive, but it's funny. Like, I like how it did it in a way, it made it funny, right? So I'm gonna do a quick few gists, because I just want to do the highlight a bit and then just do the gist, because I did a full explanation on another video, but I just want to do the little highlights in this one, right? So the film centers around Tabitha, which is like a revolving door of, she just want to use men for money, for possession, for a house, to get her stuff, right? Because she sees men as just an opportunity, right? So in the film, she has two husbands. Balak, the first husband is in Balak, who's in Germany, and she has another husband which is Indian, and he lives in Africa with her. And it's like she's just, the whole movie, she just keeps asking him to buy him cars, money, jewelry, stuff like that, right? She just sees him as opportunity and a way to just keep living off of him and his richness, right? It's just, he's an opportunity to get ahead, right? And the other one, Pamela, she's always looking for like a white husband, a mugu, right? Which is like somebody she could trick into financing her whole life, right? And Peggy, which is played by Funke Akindele, she's like the one that's illiterate. She's illiterate in the film. But the thing is, you would never know she was illiterate, right? Which means she gets around, right? Because in every scene, it's like all of them, it's like they're changing wardrobe. Outfit changes go in this movie. Like I'd say, like, what do you change a lot, right? Like you're changing, the outfit changes happen almost every other scene, right? And since it's a 3 to 4 hour, well, it's like a 4-hour movie, it's a lot of outfit changes. I mean, these girls have a lot of money from what the movie is insinuating, right? So Peggy, she's illiterate and stuff, but it's like she has men falling over her left and right. And the thing is, it's like she's illiterate, but it's like she has somebody that's financing stuff for her. She's always coming in cars. Like, it's like you can't tell that she's illiterate. And in the film, you see she gets with this doctor, and she gets with another rich businessman, and she just keeps getting, like, you can't, it's so funny that she's illiterate, because it's like you can't understand how she's illiterate and how these men are just falling for her left and right? So it's funny in that way. And there's a scene where Pamela, she's the one that has a falling out with Tabitha, because she's jealous of Tabitha, because to her Tabitha it's like she's always getting all the men, she's always getting cars, she's getting everything that she wants, right? So Pamela, there's a scene in the film where she gets desperate. So she decides she wants to get a mugu, a white husband, to finance her life, right? So she goes online and she finds this guy named Carter. Let's say his name is Carter, right? And what she finds out is that he's the richest man in all of, I believe, in all of the UK, or the United Kingdom. So then she goes to the hotel to meet up with him, because from how they were going back and forth online, it's like the way that they were going back and forth online, it's like it's solidified that he wants her as a fiance, right? So it could be like a 90-day fiance thing going on, right? So then and this is gonna be the last scene before I end this this introduction. So she goes up to the hotel clerk, and she's like, may I speak to Carter the third? And the teller's like, excuse me, miss, do you mean D. Carter the third? And she's like, yeah, that's who I'm meeting up. And the teller just grabs her over and she's like, Miss, we in this hotel, we have a right to protect our customers, right? So I would suggest that if you were looking for that person, what business do you want with that person, right? She's like, oh, that's the guy I'm supposed to marry. I'm gonna be his fiance. And she's like, are you sure you want to be with this person? And come to find out, she points to the guy, and the guy looks like he's more dead than he's alive. The guy looks like he's just dead, right? He's like this old man on a cane, right? So it seems like that you'll see things happening like that all throughout the film. And then there's one point, because Pamela, she's always so unlucky, right? He comes to propose with her parents, and the dad doesn't want him to marry his daughter, right? Because he's practically dead, right? He's death with a cane. He looks dead, right? And then the dad is trying to find a way so that a condition so that he will never marry Pamela, right? So right before he's about to secure the proposal, the guy, I guess he leaves his blood pressure medication at home, and he has a heart attack, and I believe he almost dies, right? So then Pamela ends up getting arrested, and Tabitha gets her out of jail, right? So things like that, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, right? So I think if it was for the first 3 to 3 hour 30 minutes of White Hunters, Cheeky Girls, also known as Cheeky Girls, you would probably really love this film, right? But I have to warn you, the ending, I don't get how it fits with the beginning. The ending, it just ends abruptly, and I'm like, well, what relation did this ending have to do with this beginning, right? It's almost like the director ran out of ideas, and to tell you the truth, the beginning was very good to me. I liked it from the beginning, right? But then it ended in a way it was very abrupt, right? So based on that, I give it an A- for the beginning because it was funny. I liked it. It was funny. I liked it. But the ending, because it was so abrupt, it had no relation to do with the beginning. I give it an F, right? Because it had nothing to do with the beginning, and it just took a turn for like, why did I watch 3 hours of a film to get this, right? So then that's basically it. In this video, I did a tribute to my mom, who passed away last year, this December. And I also did a piece on running anxiety, which is something I learned through Louise Hay. Was a feeling I always heard about, but I never knew what it was, right? So I spoke to you about running anxiety and how to deal with running anxiety, right? That's a protective mechanism of your mind. So then lastly, I went over quick highlights of the film White Hunters, because White Hunters to me was very promising from the beginning, right? But because of how the ending was very different, I did not really like it, right? I did not like that part of it, right? Although I think the beginning, if you're interested, you could view the beginning. But the ending, I tell you, it's not good at all. It's not good at all. You will be very disappointed, right? So then I look forward to hosting this channel. I really look forward to hosting this channel this year. And I have a whole bunch of things that I would like to, a whole bunch of topics I would like to experiment with, you know, a whole lot of things I would like to introduce this year. So I look forward to hosting this channel for this year. My name is Jocelinesse Jeune. Have a great day, guys. Thanks.